Hey guys, it's Shadow the Rat, and for today's video, I wanted to do another video on Miss Butter here. So it has now been, I want to say 11 days since Butter started treatment for her pituitary gland tumor. And as you can see, she is still doing okay. She is able to hold food, she's able to eat solid food. She's maintaining weight pretty well. She's able to drink water. She gets around the cage really well. She interacts with her cage mates pretty normally and with people pretty normally. In general, she has a fairly good quality of life. I'd say she's about maybe 95% back to normal. That is to say, physically, she's pretty much normal. With a few balance issues, primarily when she's going down, like hopping off something, but even then it's a very slight thing, like you'll barely notice it. But she is definitely a little bit off mentally still. I describe it as her being a bit less aware spatially and also having a slightly longer reaction time, so she reacts to things like a fraction of a second later than usual. But yeah, in general, she's doing pretty well. And things haven't really changed too much since my last update. If you're curious about what medications Butter's on, she is currently getting prednisone and cabergoline. I talked more about that in the first video I did on Butter and her pituitary gland tumor situation, so I will link that down below if you want to know more about the kind of treatment and symptoms part of pituitary gland tumors. But anyways, like I said, Butter is holding stable, and even though I think it's pretty clear that she's not completely back to normal, she is close enough that I consider her quality of life to be pretty high. Anyways, this is the point at which I typically decide with rats with pituitary gland tumors whether or not I'm going to continue trying treatment or have them euthanized. And the reason I typically wait 1.5 to 2 weeks is because the medication cabergoline can take a few weeks to start to really show improvement signs. Personally, I haven't had it take more than 3 doses, but it has a long half-life of about 3 days. So 3 doses is actually 9 days. But I have heard from some people that they've had it take 2 or even 3 weeks to take effect. So in the case of a rat that's holding steady like Butter, then I think it's worth waiting maybe a little bit of extra time. Anyways, regardless of whether Butter is responding to the cabergoline itself or just the steroids, she's doing well enough that I am going to keep her on medication and simply just keep treating her until the medication is no longer effective. And if it is just steroids, you know, that's a very difficult time frame to talk about because it could just be a few weeks. In fact, that would probably be the longest you get with just steroids. Typically a few days is more common with steroids, and Butter has been on them for, you know, nearly 2 weeks at this point. So I am pretty happy with the fact that she's maintaining progress, but unfortunately that means that if she is responding to steroids, then there is a good chance that she's not going to have a lot longer on them and remain stable on them for, you know, a long duration, because that's just not usually what you see with steroids alone, since all they really affect is the inflammation in the brain instead of the tumor itself. But regardless, I'm going to keep Butter on treatment because she has responded pretty well so far, and no matter what she's responding to, she is responding, so that's a good sign. Anyways, that's pretty much it for this update. The other thing I will say is that Butter unfortunately has been getting a bit scratched up by her cage mates, so I'm probably going to be separating her and some of my calmer girls, at least temporarily. I will still be doing free range together, and I might talk about this more later on in a different video. But for now, I think it might be worth just separating them to see if Butter's skin issue, which right now just looks like a scratch, is due to her actually getting bullied or something like that, or whether she's actually inflicting it herself. And I don't think it's inflicted by herself because it seems like she has a few scratches on her that all look like they come from a secondary source. That is to say, some of her cage mates, probably her younger cage mates. And if that is the case, then housing them separately and just free ranging them together will be our best option. So I will decide what I'm going to do exactly about that whole situation soon. Well, I'm going to trial run it tonight and see how that goes. But yeah, if you see any scratches on Butter, I do think that unfortunately those are from her younger cage mates being a bit too exuberant with her for her current situation. Anyways, that's pretty much it for this video. Generally it is pretty positive news, seeing her remain stable, so hopefully that will continue, and I will keep you guys updated. Bye!